The main character of the story is a young man named Haruhiro. He finds himself waking up with many other people in a strange castle, and all of them have been transported to a different world. Another without any memory at all. Everyone was taken by the guards to meet a shadowy guy named Brittany, and he introduced himself as the head of this brigade's volunteer army office, similar to the president of the Adventurers Guild. A young man named Renji had a disrespectful attitude towards Brittany, so he put a knife to his neck to threaten Renji, but Renji wasn't afraid of anyone. According to Brittany, in order to survive in this Grimgar land, they would have to make money by fighting monsters, and he gave each of them 5 silver coins as starting capital. Haruhiro went to a band of thieves to learn a trade, and a female thief named Barbara will be his teacher. After a while of training, Haruhiro was ready to go hunting, and he teamed up with a number of friends including a dread knight named Ranta, a hunter girl named Yumi, a young tanker named Moguzo, a female mage named Shihoru, and finally a captain with healing powers named Minato. Although they had a fairly complete formation from defense to attack, their party was so weak that even a single goblin could not be beaten, as most of the party members were clumsy in battle. Fight. After a day of failed goblin hunting, the group gathered together to cook and enjoy dinner, but due to lack of money, they had to eat vegetables to survive, because meat was very expensive. The next morning, everyone continued on their way to goblin hunting. When they reached the riverbank, they encountered a group of goblins drinking together, and Minato decided to return because they couldn't defeat such a large group of goblins. At night, because he couldn't sleep, Haruhiro went out, and he happened to meet Minato, who had just returned from searching for news outside the pub. The two sat together and talked about many things, and Haruhiro was very grateful to Minato that he kept working hard while the group slept. The next day, the group re-entered the forest to continue hunting the goblin, and Haruhiro and Yumi spotted a single goblin, so they decided to attack it immediately. Haruhiro was contemplating how to approach the goblin when Ranta suddenly charged at it, and when he saw that, Haruhiro also rushed forward but tripped again. Everyone quickly surrounded the goblin so it couldn't escape, and Haruhiro was stabbed in the shoulder with a sword, but after a long and intense struggle, they were finally able to defeat it. They found a silver coin with a wolf fang on the goblin, and while everyone didn't notice it suddenly woke up and ran away, but Ranta was still able to defeat it. Ranta was scared to tears because it was the first time he had taken the life of a living thing, and they understood that the goblin had also fought for its own life. After completing the quest, the group made a decent amount of money, so the girls went to buy some new clothes together, and Minato seems to be dating Shihoru. That night before going to bed, Ranta had planned to go check the girls' bathroom, and Haruhiro and the others tried to chase after him to stop him, but he was kicked out by Yumi. Before entering the Garden of Eden, Moguzo is the one in charge of cooking for the group, and although he has lost his memories before traveling through space, Moguzo is sure that he used to love this job. All the boys had to kneel to apologize for last night, but Ranta alone didn't apologize, so he was slapped by Yumi. In the evening while doing laundry, Haruhiro discovered that his shorts had a big hole in them, so he was determined to hunt as many goblins to buy a new pair of shorts. Out of curiosity, Haruhiro peeked at Shihoru and Yumi washing clothes. The next day, the party decided to go to a ruined city occupied by goblins, and they had obtained a lot of loot here, so Minato drew up a map for hunting trips. Next, at the end of the hunt, Haruhiro was overjoyed that he was able to buy a new pair of shorts for himself, and Yumi and Shihoru also bought some replacement clothes, so they would no need to constantly wash clothes anymore. Sometime later, the group continued to return to the ruins, and the party members all learned some new skills, so they easily defeated a few goblins alone. Everyone found a safe place to take a lunch break, and as soon as they left, a group of goblins ambushed them, severely injuring Haruhiro for taking an arrow for Minato. The goblins were pouring out from everywhere, surrounding everyone, and the party members tried to hold them back so that Minato could have time to heal Haruhiro. They decided to flee to preserve their forces, and Minato was hit by an arrow by running last to keep an eye on the group, but he still managed to run to safety so as not to slow everyone down. Despite their best efforts, Minato was still unable to heal himself, so they brought Minato to his master for help. However, Minato's master couldn't do anything about it either, because he died before reaching this place, and his body had to be cremated, or else he would be turned into a zombie. Everyone was deeply saddened by Minato's sudden death, and after being cremated, everyone let his ashes return to heaven and earth. Too depressed, Ranta invited Haruhiro and Moguzo to go to the pub that Minato often went to talk, and he said he wanted to quit being an adventurer because it was too dangerous. Ranta assumed that Minato died because he had to use all his magic to heal Haruhiro, and the two of them had a very tense argument until Moguzo yelled at him, "Stop." A young man named Kikawa snuck over to their table to have a drink together, and when he learned that Minato was dead, he introduced them to a priestess named Mary instead. They decided to go back to the ruins to continue hunting goblins, but unexpectedly Mary would not cooperate with the rest of the team, so they struggled to catch a few. The three young men invited each other to a pub to talk about their dissatisfaction with Mary's uncooperative attitude, and they accidentally met Renji's group, which had become the strongest group in this Grimgar land. Knowing about Minato's death, Renji offered them a gold coin as a tribute, but Haruhiro refused because he knew he was pitying them, and Ranta thought he was a real jerk. Crazy because 1 gold coin is worth 100 silver coins. That night, Haruhiro went to Yumi to apologize for not consulting her with Shihoru before inviting Mary into the group, and she cried and hugged him because she was so desperate about her current situation. At the whole group, Shihoru apologized to Haruhiro along with Yumi for she hastily concluded that they were dating, but Yumi inadvertently said that Haruhiro was only holding her for a little while, much to Ranta's jealousy. The next day, everyone continued with Mary to go to the ruins to hunt goblins, and on the way the girls tried to talk to Mary but she didn't seem to answer. After the battle, Mary heals Moguzo, but she refuses to treat Ranta, thinking his wound is just a small scratch. While resting, Haruhiro talked to Mary to ask about her way of working, but he realized that there was no way to communicate with her. That night, sitting in a pub, everyone accidentally saw Mary talking to the Orion Guildmaster. And thinking he might know something about Mary, they found him. Orion's bucko let everyone talk to an old comrade of Mary's named Hayashi, and he told everyone about Mary's painful past. In the past, his party and Mary had been a pretty strong team, and Mary was still a cheerful girl, not as sad as now. She is always quick to heal the other members even though they only have a small scratch. However, during one of their explorations of the mines, they encountered an extremely powerful werewolf named Deathspots, and 3 of the party members had to die because Mary didn't have enough magic to heal for them. Thanks to a comrade who stood in the way of the Deathspots, Hayashi and Mary were able to escape. But after that incident, Mary was no longer able to smile her smile. After Minato's death, Haruhiro became the new captain of the group, and he felt it was his responsibility to bond Mary with the rest of the team. During the hunt the next day, Haruhiro said that he wanted to be a real comrade of Mary, and the group told Mary the same to make her closer to them. Returning to the city, Haruhiro decides to buy Moguzo a new helmet since he is the main tanker of the team. And because they fought for so long with goblins, they were respectfully called Goblin Slayers by other adventurers. Everyone had worked so hard to get closer to Mary, and thanks to their efforts, Mary had finally opened up to them, but Haruhiro noticed that Mary had yet to show her smile. Her once. The group continued to try to destroy more goblins, and after a while, the team members were able to buy themselves the best equipment as well as learn some new skills in the game. Fight. Haruhiro realized that he himself could sense a faint flash of light during battle, and that he only needed to gently glide the knife along the light and he would definitely cut the enemy's death pit. After accumulating a lot of combat experience and new equipment, the party decided to attack the lair of the goblin that killed Minato to avenge him. The outside of the goblin's lair was heavily guarded, but everyone managed to get rid of the guards quickly, and when they entered the lair, the black goblin commander was already waiting for them. Here, Haruhiro directed the party to split up to make it easier to fight, and Moguzo and Shihoru teamed up to deal with a goblin. And meanwhile, Ranta was assigned the task of dealing with the normal goblins, and the leader alone was so strong that Haruhiro and the other 2 girls had to work together to deal with it. Shihoru used a new skill of his to immobilize the goblin, and Moguzo took the opportunity to slash his sword to finish it off. On the other side, Haruhiro and 2 girls seriously injured the goblin commander, and were about to finish it off when Mary was hit by an arrow like Minato before. But because of his higher rank than Minato, Mary was able to heal himself. Haruhiro quickly ran to the roof to fight the sneaky goblin, and after a while of fierce fighting, Haruhiro also successfully handled it. At the end of the battle, everyone came together in front of Minato's grave to announce that they had avenged him, and on the way back, Haruhiro finally saw Mary's first smile since he joined the group. After many days of continuous fighting, Haruhiro decided to give the group a break, and everyone chose their own spaces to relax. Haruhiro went to talk to some of the group's members, and he happened to meet Mary in a cafe. That night, while having a meeting at the pub, Haruhiro suggested that everyone move to the mines to hunt monsters. And everyone was excited about Haruhiro's decision, but Mary was scared because that's where her former teammates died. In preparation for the upcoming hunt, everyone went to upgrade their equipment and learn new skills, and Haruhiro was taught a new move by Barbara. Soon after, Haruhiro asked Barbara about the light that leads to the opponent's weakness that he occasionally sees in battle, and she states that only skilled assassins can see the lights. There. At the end of their training, the party entered the mines to hunt werewolves known as kobolds, and they easily defeated the low-class kobolds guarding the first floor, but Haruhiro realized that Ranta was very lax teamwork because he fights alone. Continuing down to the second floor, they encountered a group of intermediate kobolds here, and thanks to Shihoru's foot-binding skill, they easily defeated them. Returning home from a successful hunt, Haruhiro criticized Ranta for his poor teamwork, but he didn't care because that was his way of doing things. The next day, Mary demonstrated a new skill capable of paralyzing opponents, and everyone took the opportunity to deal with kobolds that were hit by her blow. Everyone continued to go down to the fourth floor, and this floor is where the kobolds grow food and raise livestock. Unfortunately, while hiding, Ranta accidentally touched their alarm wire, so the giant kobolds named Death Spots quickly appeared. And as soon as she saw it, Mary felt very frightened, because it was the same one who had killed her former comrades. Since the monster was blocking the exit, they had no choice but to run down to the fifth floor, and this place was extremely dangerous because this was where the kobolds used to forge weapons. Mary took everyone to a nearby temple to rest, and since these monsters don't believe in spirituality, they never came to this place. Mary had accidentally found her old staff here, and Mary's old comrades had suddenly appeared from the shadows, but they were now turned into inanimate zombies. Right after that, the three undead attacked them, and Haruhiro quickly directed everyone to split up to fight. However, everyone had a hard time because Mary's old comrades were of a much higher level, and the mage girl on the other side created a firewall to stop them. But Mary still dared to plunge into the flames and immediately cast purification magic on the sorceress. Haruhiro quickly turned to assist the rest, and after a while of fighting, Mary successfully purified the souls of his former comrades. Thinking that everything was over, the death spots suddenly appeared, so everyone had to quickly run away from that place. Everyone managed to climb up a wooden hut to find their way back to the fourth floor, but the monsters still chased after them and threw a giant wheel in their direction, causing Ranta to fall back to the side below. Even so, Ranta was determined to fight to the end to escape this place alive, and when he returned to the third floor, everyone came up with a plan to free Ranta. Somehow, Ranta managed to climb back to the fourth floor, and because he was injured, he had to hide in the kobold stables. One of the kobolds sensed something strange, so it approached Ranta, and when it got close he stabbed it to death with his sword, but due to the noise the kobolds found out. The death spots also appeared to pursue Ranta, but fortunately everyone arrived in time to rescue him, and Mary used her magic to heal him. Everyone successfully made it back to the third floor safely, and was thinking it was over when the death spots suddenly appeared right behind them. The members continued to attack it, but it was unharmed, and the group didn't have the strength to fight it anymore, so Haruhiro took advantage of its inattentiveness and rushed to use one. Pulled it off the cliff to give his comrades a chance to escape. Standing alone facing the death spots, Haruhiro suddenly saw a light leading to its weak point, and he felt as if its movement was becoming very slow. Haruhiro allowed himself to move freely towards the death spots, and he defeated the monster with a single slash. Immediately after regaining consciousness, Haruhiro saw Mary sitting next to him, and she has taken care of him since he fainted until now. Due to their contribution to defeating the death spots, everyone received a reward of 30 gold coins, and they finally had enough money to get out of this life of poverty. While sitting outside the pub, Renji went to apologize to everyone for his act of almsgiving after Minato's death, but Haruhiro didn't blame him for his actions, and Ranta decided it was today. He'll take the whole bar to celebrate their victory. Thank you for watching the video review. I will leave other videos of the channel here, and don't forget to click the subscribe button and the bell button to receive notifications of the latest videos.